Your pillow is stuffed, and now you're on to the last step of your project, which is hand sewing the opening closed. Now, before you do hand sew it closed, make sure that you do have enough stuffing. So one more time, take a look at it. Make sure you have stuffing in the corners, and make sure that it is stuffed all the way to the end of the opening. All right, now, you do want to use thread that matches your fabric, so it should have been the thread that you bought, okay, or that you've been sewing with. And you also want to make sure that you have these edges turned under before you begin sewing. So the edges should be turned down, not up like this. All right, now, in order to tie a knot in your thread and get your thread ready, you can go to hand sewing on the computer, and it would be preparing your thread. Now, the first thing we want to do is hide our knot on the inside. Okay, so we're going to go from the inside of one like that to the outside. All right, now we want to be sewing a ladder stitch. So a ladder stitch is where your stitch is hidden, all right, and you go opposite side to opposite side. So I started over here, so now I'm going to come over here on the inside. All right, now I want to go just a little bit further. I'll make sure that's pulled up, okay. Now I want to go just a little bit further, tiny, tiny bit further on the opposite side. All right, then I want to make sure that's tucked in. I want to come to the other side. And the whole time you want to be making sure that you pull it to the inside and that you don't see the stitches and that they're tiny. If you hurry up and try to do this really quick, it will not look very nice. All right, keep moving your hand down to hold it together. And as you keep going back and forth, this ladder stitch will pull the fabric together. Take your time. Again, it's your last stitch. Your last, step of your project. So don't hurry through it. Make sure your edges are even also. Don't have them lopsided. Hand sewing for some people is very relaxing because you're just quietly sewing and working on whatever project you're working on. Again, don't get bored and say, oh, I'm tired of sewing this. I'm just going to make real big stitches. Because if you make real big stitches, everybody's going to be able to see that you made real big stitches. So take your time. And as a lefty, I always seem to start at the opposite end of righty, so if you feel better starting at the left-hand edge to sew it, you're perfectly fine to do that. Just make sure that you do hide your knot on the inside, and make sure that you do keep going from one side to the other side for that ladder stitch, and make sure that this is turned under. And you can see, just because I'm on videotape, I'm not hurrying along to try to get finished. Alright, I'm taking my time so that my pillow looks nice. And if your thread starts getting tangled, just take your thread and dangle it to loosen a little bit, okay, to make it untangle. All right, and let's keep sewing. I'm almost finished. And I do want to show you how to do a lock stitch. So remember, you're always going from one side on the inside to pick up a thread to the other side on the inside to pick up a thread. That's what the ladder stitch is all about. And as you can see, you really can't see it. And be careful when you get to the end that you do so all the way to the end and watch your finger, because it gets closer and smaller that you have an area to work in, so don't poke your finger. Okay, now I'm at the end. So I want to do a lock stitch so my thread doesn't pull out. And I want to dangle that thread again because it's getting twisted. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, at the end I'm going to do a lock stitch. So I'm going to go through both pieces, pull most of my thread through. I have a loop in my thread, take my needle, go through that loop, be careful, pull it tight, do that exact same thing 2 more times for a total of 3 times. Yep. Keeps getting caught on my corner there. Alright. And then I would cut my thread, and my pillow is finished.